Good evening and thanks for joining us on Nationwide today. I'm Elizabeth Omori. President Muhammad Buhari has ordered the postponement of the forthcoming National Sports Festival, scheduled to begin later this month in Benin, Edo State. The president, who gave the order after a meeting with the Minister of Sports, Sandip Dari, and the Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunmibe Mamora, said the action is in the overall interest of national health security. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
The strategic meeting between President Muhammadu Buhari as well as the Ministers of Health and Sports critically analyzed whether or not it is safe for the National Sports Festival Edo 2020 to go on as planned in the face of the coronavirus pandemic. The President, who was briefed on both the preparations for the festival as well as efforts at containing COVID-19 in the country, maintained that it is too risky for the sporting fiesta to continue as planned.
Mr. President took the decision and gave the directive that the National Sports Festival, Christian Edo 2020, should be postponed as a precautionary move against the spread of COVID-19.
The Minister of State for Health, Dr. Olorunmibe Mamora, described the postponement of Edo 2020 as inevitable.
Is the possibility of people carrying the virus even without knowing, what we call asymptomatic people. That is, they carry it, but they don't even know because they are not manifesting symptoms. And what we know so far is that up to 80-81% of people will either be asymptomatic, that is, not showing any symptoms, or where they show symptoms, the symptoms will just be mild to moderate. This is a major source of what we call community transmission. So the principle of social distancing has to be respected. That is, preventing or advising against congregation of large number of people.
A new date for the National Sports Festival will be announced in due course. From the State House, Adamu Sambo, NTA News.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Health, Dr. Saigi Ihanire, said a 30-year-old Nigerian woman has been confirmed positive to the coronavirus infection in Lagos. Dr. Ihanire said the new patient returned to the Murtala Mohammed International Airport, Lagos, from the United Kingdom and was placed under treatment after testing positive.
We call contact tracing, which means that we're going to find out everything about her travel pattern, her travel history, and be able to follow up on what we need to follow up on. She did fill a self-reporting form when she arrived. She was tested at the airport, and according to the information we have, she seemed to have had no symptoms at that time she was tested. But we have retrieved the form because the form she filled when she came is not lost. It's being examined, and as she's in hospital, we ask her questions.
The health minister said the procedures on ground to prevent the spread of coronavirus have so far been effective. He, however, wants Nigerians to remain vigilant about their health and to avoid large gatherings. And if you were a passenger on the British Airways 75 flight that arrived Lagos on the 13th of March 2020, then stay at home and isolate yourself for 14 days. This plea is coming from the Lagos State Commissioner for Health in the wake of the third confirmed case of coronavirus in Nigeria. Joy Ken Abakboya reports.
The newly imported case, a 30-year-old Nigerian female who arrived the country aboard the British Airways after a 10-day stay in the United Kingdom, is currently being held in isolation 2 at the mainland hospital, Yaba, Lagos.
We've started the contact tracing process. Thankfully, she obeyed the instructions and she confined herself to her home, where she's only been in contact with her immediate family.
Professor Akin Abayomi disclosed that 3 more suspected cases, 2 Nigerian travelers from the UK and the United States, and another from Cairo, have been quarantined and are undergoing tests. In Lagos, Joy Ken Abakuya, NTA News.
Still on the containment of coronavirus, Benue State Traditional Council has demonstrated its support to the government in preventing the spread of COVID-19 and other related diseases in the country. This was at a Tortif Palace in Boko. Charles Abba has details.
The Tortif Palace is an epitome of sensitization in the wake of COVID-19, popularly called coronavirus, as every visitor to the palace must apply the hand sanitizer before entering His Royal Majesty's palace.
We want to go in line with the global practice now to ensure that the outbreak of coronavirus that is endemic, that has shut down a lot of businesses and a lot of activities in some countries, is brought under control.
Management of NTA Network Center Makudi had to go through security check and the use of the sanitizer. What was the lesson?
In today's world of coronavirus, I think that the palace has taken a step to control that. We were given these sanitizers, what do you call them? So we could do our hands before going in.
It goes beyond the Tortoise Palace now. He has shown it to his people, those that he's ruling upon, that they should take the sanitizing issue very seriously.
The act is a wake-up call to other bodies to, as a matter of urgency, join the fight against the spread of coronavirus and other related illnesses. In Boko, Charles Abba, NTA News.
Into the Abule Ado Inferno, the Senate is to investigate the immediate and remote causes of the Abule Ado explosion in Lagos with a view to prevent a recurrence. This followed a motion of urgent public importance by Senator Solomon Adiola, which called on the Federal Ministry of Humanitarian Affairs, Disaster Management and Social Development to immediately provide relief materials and to offset the hospital bills of victims of the explosion. The motion commended that the Nigerian Police, NNPC, Fire Service and all stakeholders for their swift response, especially the Lagos State Governor for raising the Abule Ado Emergency Relief Fund, as it advised the federal government and members of the National Assembly to contribute to the relief fund. Chairman, Senate Committee on Health, Senator Ibrahim Oloriegbe, through a point of order, urged federal government to restrict non-Nigerians in affected countries from entering Nigeria, while all Nigerians should put on hold any plan to travel out of the country for now. The motion called for increased number of testing centers to be able to cover southeast and the northern part of the country. Meanwhile, Senate is considering the amendment of the 2020 Appropriation Act following the fall in oil price caused by the pandemic coronavirus. For more on the Abule Ado explosion, let's now join Dotun Ogunyemi in our Lagos studio.
Thank you, Elizabeth, and welcome to Lagos. For many residents of Abule Ado Soba in Lagos, the impact of the deadly explosion that rocked the area on Sunday morning will forever echo in their lives. Jennifer Igwe reports that a truck belonging to the Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation is now on ground to mop up the fuel that is still seeping from the pipeline where the explosion occurred.
The persistent fire at the point of the pipeline where the explosion occurred has been finally put out by firefighters. The impact and trauma of the explosion, however, are not over for many affected by the disaster. Mama Bola wails uncontrollably as she searches for her daughter, who works at the Bethlehem High School that was completely destroyed by the explosion. Back from the hospital, Victor Eze narrates how he narrowly escaped death after the impact of the explosion flung him several buildings from where he resides.
Calling my wife to come out, before I heard a noise. And when I heard a noise, then I get myself over there. I thought my wife is gone because the weight is terrible.
To assist victims overcome their harrowing experiences and challenges associated with the disaster, the state government has instituted the Abule Ado Soba Relief Fund with a promise to put 250 million naira with immediate effect into it.
This is certainly beyond what the state government can undertake on its own. So I'm aware that some of my fellow governors have called, and I've received phone calls from the private sector. And so what this fund will do is to give everybody the opportunity to be part of it and to be able to donate into it.
The state government has also commenced testing of structures in the area to ascertain their conditions for safety. One thing is pertinent, and that is the fact that this unprecedented disaster could have been avoided, and the committee set up by the Lagos State government has a 2-week target to establish the cause of the disaster and come up with modalities to ensure that devastation of this nature does not occur again. In Lagos, Jennifer Igwe, NTA News.
Now away from the pipeline explosion, championing advocacy for the emancipation of women is key to unlocking the social economic growth of the country. At a forum in Lagos, the chairman of the Nigerians in Diaspora Commission, Abike Dabri Erewa, wants women to develop an unquenchable appetite for personal growth in their desire for financial freedom. Michael Olaleye reports.
From the rhythmic tune to the verses and lines of the song, the purpose of the forum is crystal clear: to awaken the spirit of women present here to dream, aspire, and soar high like eagle. This is exactly what the chairman of Nigerians in Diaspora Commission did as he used ripe rhymes to extray our unrelenting quest for greatness to challenge women on the need to embrace hard work.
Always be kind to the next person. Success is not about age. It's not about character. It's not about how much money you have in your account. It's about how many lives you are able to touch. You need to make sure every level you do what? Leave nothing undone. So you boil, you make scotch, and you make bigger premium price out of just 6 raw eggs that you are given.
The testimonies from this conference have emanated from the success stories of those who turned challenges into opportunity.
All that was on the back burner was I wanted to be successful, and I wanted people to know what it was, people to know me and know what it was that I was doing.
I had that motivation that, you know what, I am passing through life only once, and I am going to maximize it.
The conference, with more than 300 participants, has since inception 7 years ago established a ready-made platform for women in both the formal and informal sectors to connect, network, and reposition themselves for growth. In Lagos, Michael Olaleye, NT News.
And that's it from Lagos. Nationwide continues after the break.
Coming on April 2nd, 2020, in the capital city of Abuja, the Ivory 8 Ball, a life-saving fundraising event featuring music and arts in aid of skin cancer patients with albinism. For participation and sponsorship, call Edidiong on 070-197-73352 or Chinwe on 090-559-61514. This event is powered by Nigerian Television Authority, TV Enterprises, Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria, FRCN, African Independent Television, and Ray Power FM, Silverbird Television, and Rhythm FM, the Albino Foundation, the Ivory 8 Ball, for a worthy cause. Watch out.
COVID-19 and the global economy is the focus this week on NTA Tuesday Live. What mechanism is in place in Nigeria, given the ravaging effect of the pandemic on the economy? For answers and more, tune in at 10:30 p.m. on NTA Tuesday Live. Tuesday Live, incisive and educative. Join us.
My name is Giato Adeza Adams. the General Manager, Corporate and Strategic Communications, Nigerian Port Authority. As regards the land borders closure, available statistical data from APMT, which is one of our terminal operators that is involved in container handling terminal, has recorded an increase of 200 TEUs of cargoes into their terminal as a result of cargo diversion from the vessels originally meant for our neighboring countries. That shows you that the terminal operators is going to have an increase in revenue, which is accrued to the terminal, and at the same time, Nigerian Port Authority will equally benefit from the revenue increase. So that is the benefit we have derived from the border closure.
Nigerians, coronavirus is dangerous. It can kill. When you see this sign, high fever, cough, shortness of breath, drowsiness.
Thanks for staying with us. Our presidential task force for the control of the coronavirus in Nigeria is right now being inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who is also chairman of the task force. Metari Ikpen joins us live from the SGF's office for our situation report. Metari, if you can hear me clearly, how is the inauguration going and who are those on the team?
Members of the committee are yet to arrive at the venue, but we already have pressmen and other stakeholders ready for the inauguration. We understand that it's a 12-member task force that include the Ministers of Health, Information and Culture, Environment, and other line ministers whose ministries are crucial to the containment of the coronavirus in Nigeria. At the moment, any moment from now, the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, who is heading that presidential task force, will come in, and other members of the task force, and the inauguration will be done. Be rest assured that we'll keep you updated from here.
Okay. All right, we'll get more details from you later. Thank you so much for your time. Now, President Muhammadu Buhari has promised continued support for assistance of his administration to the new governor of Bayelsa State, Senator Doye Diri, in his effort at maintaining peace and stability in the state, as well as enhancing the livelihood of his people. This was while granting audience to the governor in his office. State House correspondent Adamu Sambo reports.
It was the first formal engagement between President Muhammadu Buhari and the new Bayelsa State Governor, Senator Doye Diri. The meeting, held behind closed doors, lasted about 30 minutes. Governor Diri told newsmen shortly after that the meeting was fruitful.
Since I resumed as governor of Bayelsa State, I have not come to see the father of the country, the father of our nation. I just did that. Mr. President received me as one of his sons, as a state governor, and the reception was very warm. And he went ahead to advise that he was happy that I came, and I was happy with the way I have started. And in fact, he went on to say he has read about all the statements that I have made and the security so far in Bayelsa, and that he promised that as one of his sons, as a state like Bayelsa that is critical to the security and peace in the Niger Delta, he was prepared to also work with me.
A beneficiary of a judicial decision by the nation's apex court, Governor Doye Diri of the PDP came to power on the 14th of February this year. From the State House, Adamu Sambu, NTA News.
And in other news, National Chairman of the All Progressives Congress, Adams Oshiomhole, says the party is not divided. He assured that members of the National Working Committee will work together as members of Progressives family by engaging stakeholders to come up with quality ideas that will add value to the present administration. The National Working Committee meeting is being attended by members, including the newly appointed Deputy National Chairman, South of the party, Senator Abiola Ajimobi, and Inua Abdulkadri, National Vice Chairman, Northwest, who has been on suspension. This is the first official function by the party's National Working Committee after about 2 weeks leadership tussle. And joining me live via the telephone is Saliu Abdullahi, who is presently the APC's Secretariat. Saliu, can you hear me loud and clear?
Yes.
All right, now, could you tell us the ambience at the Secretariat right now?
Yes. Elizabeth, the ambience at the APC National Secretariat is that of excitement among members, particularly the APC state chairman. Some of them are the party secretariat to welcome the national chairman. Welcome in the sense that he is coming into the party national secretariat about 2 weeks now after his suspension, and now that he's back to pilot the affairs of the party. It was a cheerful moment for them, all of them, cheering the chairman, and he went straight to business of the day, the National Working Committee meeting, which as we speak is going on, and he is the one presiding over the meeting, and the meeting is well attended by members of the NWC members, the old ones, and the newly appointed members of the National Working Committee as well, though not all of them.
Okay.
The new ones is specifically the Ajimobi, as you rightly stated in the report. The National Secretary, talking about Akiber Waziri Bulama, is not at the meeting presently.
Okay.
So also is,
Abdullahi, I would like to quote you there.
Yeah.
Could you tell us the salient issues raised at the meeting?
Yes, the issues at the meeting are specifically that of peace.
Okay.
Building the party to move on. The chairman was emphatic that right now what the party members need is to come together as faithful members of progressive family to build peace. In fact, he is even telling of the journalists that is before the closed door session, that the essence of the meeting now is to make sure that members across the country now devise means of resolving their dispute internally within the party,
okay,
as advised by critical stakeholders. And that he is sure that coming together as members of the same family, peace building is what he's there to promote. And he, the chairman himself, has promised that he's going to change his ways. He admitted that he's going to change his ways and lead the people according to the way they want him to lead them. He, the chairman himself, said now what they need is to come together, share quality ideas with their members, and help the present government in piloting their agenda they promised the people during campaigns.
All right.
That the administration, what the administration promised to do to the people.
All right, Abdullahi.
Should be the main focus of the NWC members and the entire party members.
All right, Abdullahi, thank you so much for your time. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so much for joining me as the APC National Secretary. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Now to the judiciary. The Federal High Court has fixed 17th of April 2020 for ruling on application for variation of bail conditions sought by the former chairman of Pension Reform Task Team, Abdulrasheed Maina. Correspondent Austin Ayebe reports on the proceedings at the sitting.
The adjournment came after a long argument on two motions filed by the Defense and Prosecution Counsel on the legal provisions for bail variation. Part of the argument of the Prosecution Counsel contained in the affidavit is that the first defendant, Abdulrasheed Maina, through intelligence has allegedly threatened to kill individuals involved in the prosecution, of which granting him a liberal bail conditions stands to jeopardize the lives of people targeted. This, the Prosecution Counsel Mohammed Abubakar said, is evident by the way he harasses people whenever he is in court. The Defense Counsel, however, urged the court to discountenance the prayer of the prosecution saying the allegation of death threat lacks credible evidence as the prosecution has not been able to come up with verifiable evidence to show that the defendant wants to kill him as the burden of proof lies on him. Justice Okon Abang, upon hearing the argument, said ruling on the motion shall be delivered on the 9th of April 2020. Meanwhile, hearing on the substantive case continues tomorrow, with ruling to be given on the argument on admissibility of documents from Fidelity Bank PLC sought to be tendered through the sixth witness. The defendant, who was granted bail in November 2019, has to remain in prison custody for failing to meet the set bail conditions given by the court, even after the first variation. From the Federal High Court, Abuja, Austin Anyebe, NT News.
Still on legal matters, Niger State High Court 4 has fixed 24th of this month to determine whether or not to release the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission's case against former Governor Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, State PDP Chairman Tanko Beji, and Umar Mohamed Nasko. Mukhtar Abubakar Wowo reports that the court had earlier discharged the respondents following the sequential absence of the counsel to the complainant, the EFCC.
It will be recalled that few days after the court discharged the respondents, Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu, Tanko Beji, and Umar Mohamed Nasko, the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, filed an application asking the court to release the case. On this adjourned date, however, while counsel to Dr. Muazu Babangida Aliyu left it at the discretion of the court, counsel to Tanko Beji and Umar Mohamed Nasko opposed the application, challenging the jurisdiction of the court to grant the application.
They have to come by way of application under section 185B of the Criminal Procedure Code of Niger State. They didn't do that. They want to take shortcut. They can't do that.
Counsel to the EFCC, while responding on point of law, described the opposition of the defense counsel as gross misconception of the law to say that criminal matter cannot be relisted.
The consequent information we got was that, predicated on our absence, that the matter was struck out. And such applications are ordinarily no cost. It's something that most counsels don't even oppose.
Justice Abdullahi Mikaila of the Niger State High Court 4, however, adjourned the case to the 24th of this month for ruling. From the State Judiciary Complex, Mukhtar Abubakar, NTA News.
Let's now shift attention to education. More than 1.1 million out of the 1.9 million candidates that registered for the 2020 Unified Tertiary Matriculation Examination have so far participated in the exercise across the country. Olayin Kaujo was out to monitor the conduct of the exercise in Abuja on day 3.
It was one examination that generated a lot of discourse before its commencement. From use of national identification number to countermeasures taken by JAMB to stamp out multiple registration and other malpractices, which led to the arrest of many computer-based center operators. Finally, it started with 312,157 participating from the 669 computer-based test centers across the country on day 1. The results were released in less than 24 hours. The second day, 469,000 candidates sat across the country, while more than 450,000 wrote on the third day.
The exams was swift, though we had little network issues, but at the nick of time they were able to resolve it.
My expectations were not cut short, that the system and everything were very okay.
We also make a bit of room for contingency.
The new innovation of using the candidates' biometrics to assess questions is said to have further enhanced the credibility of the process.
The added advantage of this is that we are also transforming our educational system. We are digitizing our educational curriculum, and that is what we want to be able to show to Nigerians.
The remaining 800,000 candidates are to write their examinations between now and the 4th of April 2020. Olayin Kaujo, NTA News.
Still on UTME, joining me via the telephone is Dr. Fabian Benjamin, Head Public Affairs of the Joint Admissions and Matriculations Board, to give us an update on the ongoing UTME exercise. Dr. Fabian, can you hear me clearly?
Yes, I can hear you clearly.
All right, how has the exercise been so far?
So far, so
Okay.
And the experience so far indicated that this year's exam is far better than what we had last year.
Okay, now will the exercise be ending earlier before the initially anticipated date rather?
Let me hear you again.
Will the exercise be ending earlier before the initially anticipated date?
No, we have a calendar, a program of events where we list when we are starting and when we are supposed to end. You know, as I've said earlier, or several at different fora, the CBT exercise is a product of planning. And we had planned that we will start on Saturday and end on a particular day. By Wednesday next week, the whole exercise would have come to an end. But by Friday this week, we would have done more than 95% of the examination.
95%. You sound very optimistic.
Yes.
Okay. Now, let's talk about compliance. Are the students complying?
Yes, for this year, if you look at the way we are even releasing results, don't forget that last year we had to go through the CCTV cameras, screen the results before we were able to release them. This year, the Saturday exercise, the results are already out, and in a few minutes from now, yesterday's examination results will be out, and that is an indication of the fact that we've seen that there is substantial compliance with what we expected. That does not also mean that when we find anything fishy somewhere, we will not do the needful. As we have released results, if there are instances where we discover that there were infractions or infractions, such results will also be withdrawn.
Okay. Dr. Fabian, thank you so much for your time. Thank you very much. Now, as we speak, the Presidential Task Force of COVID-19 is right about now being inaugurated. Let's now join Mitari Ikme at the SGF's office for an update.
Hello, sir.
Mitari, could you tell us the situation of things at the office right now?
Yeah, the Presidential Task Force for the control of coronavirus in Nigeria has just been inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation.
Okay.
We understand that the mandate of the task force is to prepare adequately by putting all measures in place for the unlikely but probable spread of the coronavirus in Nigeria. The task force is headed by no other than the Secretary to the Government of the Federation and is here right in the hall to give us more insight into the mandate of the task force. Secretary to Government, sir. I've already said it. Well, like I said, our terms of reference are very, very clear. One, which is the most important thing, is to strengthen the national response strategy, particularly in the areas of testing, containment, and the management of COVID-19. We have done so well so far with what has been put in place by the Ministry of Health and the other agencies. But now we are enlarging the scope of the response to make sure that we take care of all exigencies in case we are confronted with a major outbreak. Thank you. Okay. Elizabeth, we understand that after this inauguration, the Presidential Task Force, which has 12 members, will be going into closed-door deliberations to marshal out their action plan for the containment of coronavirus in Nigeria. It's back to the studio.
Thank you, Mitari. This is Nationwide on NTA, reaching you live on the network service of the NTA. Time now to join Obey in our Benin studio for more reports. Hello, Obey.
Thank you very much for joining us in Benin. Mixed reaction trailed the sudden announcement of the postponement of the National Sports Festival in Edo State. Adopeji Ojegba reports.
We apologize for that hitch. We hope to get back to Benin later. Let's now move on. The House of Representatives is seeking alteration of part of the second schedule of the Constitution to enable the transfer of some items from the exclusive legislative list or the current list. The bill, sponsored by House Chief Whip Mohammed Tahir Monguno, noted the concentration of powers in the center as provided in the 1999 Constitution, which over the years has led to agitation for devolution of powers to states in order to achieve true federalism. House members, while debating the motion, pointed out that the devolution of power will fast-track development and enhance decision-making on issues of priority. Plenary also adopted a motion to set up an ad hoc committee to conduct an investigation to ascertain the number of abandoned federal government properties across the country. A call on authorities to check frequent infiltration of armed bandits into areas of Kano State from Katsina and Zamfara states was adopted. Now, President Muhammad Buhari has given assurances of the federal government's commitment to partner with the private sector in science, technology and innovation towards ensuring that the sector plays the very important role in advancing the frontiers of knowledge for nation building. This was at the opening of the 2020 Science, Technology and Innovation Expo ongoing in Abuja. Justin Bemwe reports.
It is common knowledge that at home and abroad, Nigerians have always demonstrated remarkable ingenuity and inventiveness. We know that with the right environment and policy framework, there is no limit to how far Nigerian innovation can go.
It was heartwarming for the president to see the creativity and innovativeness of Nigerians. The expo has created a platform for convergence of researchers, innovators, inventors, and investors. This is with the sole aim of commercializing research findings to be converted to needed products and services. One of such instances the president inspected at the expo was a stand with exhibitions of inventions from the National Agency for Science and Engineering Infrastructure, NASENI.
Whatever we come with it the previous years, we don't bring them. We bring new things. Today you have seen ranging from oil shelling machines. You have seen new innovations in terms of standby power. We have seen people asking questions, and we have already selected team from our technology business development unit to interact with them to enlighten them more.
And with such an array of ingenuity and potential of Nigerian scientists on display like that of NASENI and others, the president has called on the private sector for direct investment and partnership to help the nation achieve its goals. The 2020 Science, Technology and Innovation Expo, organized by the Federal Ministry of Science and Technology, comes with a theme enhancing the growth of a diversified economy through science and technology. In Abuja, Justin Bemunyi, NTA News.
Now let's sports from here as we join Felicia in our Just studio for more reports. Hello, Felicia.
Hello, Elizabeth. Welcome to Jos. About 1,000 indigent patients in Dadinkowa and environs have benefited from a free medical outreach organized by the 3 Division of the Nigerian Army in collaboration with the Association of Public Health Physicians of Nigeria. Ashezi Goped reports that the outreach, which is part of its community social responsibility, attended to various health challenges of the people and enlightenment on preventive measures against coronavirus pandemic.
Othman Ibrahim, Lubabatu Haruna, Martina Chuak, as well as Joy Emmanuel are few out of many beneficiaries of the outreach who had lived with different forms of ailments and access to qualitative health care, they say, have been out of reach due to lack of funds.
Very nice, because that will help people. It is nice.
The medical outreach also presented another platform to educate the public and provide medical advice on preventive measures against coronavirus, Lassa fever, and other contagious diseases.
What we're looking at is that health is a major factor of national security and the state of any nation. So this is most strategic.
Generally, when people have flu-like symptoms, those are pointers towards that, and then raised body temperature, fever. So if you see anybody at home or around you that has some of those symptoms that I've mentioned, especially with the history of travels to those areas that are being ravaged by the coronavirus, it needs to raise a red flag, so we need to interrogate them further.
Plateau State Governor represented, as well as other public health physicians, described the initiative as apt in view of the public health emergencies in the country. In Jos, Ashazigopep, NTA News.
Member representing Lantang North and South in the House of Representatives, Benny Lar, has tasked government at all levels to massively invest in education as a means of achieving peace in the country. She was speaking while receiving a posthumous award on behalf of her late father, Solomon Lar, during the combined 28th to 33rd convocation ceremony of the College of Education, Gindri. Comfort Bienteng reports.
Late Solomon Dashop Lar, popularly known as the Emancipator, was the first civilian governor of Plateau State who lived and served his people, with human investment being his priority, as he believed that educating a man enables him participate in the promotion and development of the society. During his time as governor, late Lar established over 200 primary and secondary schools, Plateau State Polytechnic, the College of Education Akwanga, and the College of Education Gindri in 1980, for which he is being awarded. Proudly receiving the award, Benny Lar charged politicians to emulate her late father by focusing on creating lasting legacies that will improve the lives of the people they serve.
If we had a well-educated society, we would not have conflicts between farmers and other people. We would not have herdsmen attacks. During Baba's time, he introduced nomadic education. Unfortunately, today, some of those legacies have been abandoned.
Advise that good legacy is better than riches, that we ought to emulate this great man.
Other award recipients are conferred with the Fellowship Award of Meritorious Service to the college and the education industry. From Gindri, Comfort Bienteng, NTA News.
We'll take a break now. The news continues shortly.
Compatriots, welcome aboard the Progressives.
The assurance I can give Nigeria that I will continue to do my best.
The Progressives is the bulletin of the leadership strides and landmark achievements of the APC-led government in Nigeria. And I'm your host, Edith Yassin. Join me every week as we x-ray the different activities of the ruling party at all levels of government, bringing you facts and figures of progressive programs and projects. It's going to be entertaining, informative.
Being a technocrat doesn't mean that one is inflexible. It just means that one has different experience. And I think I can tell you that.
And review. The Progressive, showing soon on this channel.
Some of the girls were having difficulties in their academics, and they now decided to ask us to help out. And we've decided to teach them other things, other skills. To invest in a woman is really to invest in a nation, because the women really are the heart of the family.
Glad to know you're still there. To disaster management, following NIMET's seasonal rainfall prediction for 2020, the National Emergency Management Agency, NEMA, is collaborating with relevant stakeholders for effective preparedness, mitigation and response mechanisms for Nigeria. Ruth Aguele reports that this is part of its strategy on disaster risk management.
Year in, year out, the Nigerian Meteorological Agency always comes up with its annual seasonal rainfall prediction. But despite these predictions, Nigeria still experiences floods across the country. The 2020 seasonal rainfall prediction has already been released by NIMET in January. And since the rains are inevitable, the National Emergency Management Agency is already working out modalities with these stakeholders to strategize towards the reduction of man-made and natural disasters through early preparedness and effective response to deal with the emerging challenges.
The impact of disasters on lives, properties and environment depend on the country's level of preparedness, which to a large extent relies on efficient early warning systems. It is then crucial for us to always come together with the view to strategize or plan of actions toward safeguarding and protecting the lives and properties of our citizens.
You look at the SRP, the NEMA GIS and the NAMI GIS, they will do the flood disaster risk mapping, and we keep on working with the state and the local governments.
Even government tries to relocate people, but they still prefer to go to those areas that are flood prone. So what do you want the government to do? Is to sensitize and keep telling you this.
It is expected that with recommendations on disaster risk management at the end of the 2 days workshop, the unforeseen implications of the floods for the year 2020 will be cushioned to the barest. In Abuja, Ruth Aguele, NTA News.
And Obey in our Benin studio is still standing by for more reports for us on Nationwide.
Hello, Elizabeth. Thank you for rejoining us in Benin. Mixed reaction trailed the sudden announcement of the postponement of the National Sports Festival in Edo State. Adogbeji Ojegba reports.
They say the announcement this morning was received with shock as preparation was already in top gear.
If they decide to postpone it because of this coronavirus issue, they want to ensure Nigerians are safe from this deadly diseases.
In strongest terms, I am in support of the government for many reasons. For the fact that the coronavirus, which everybody is aware of now globally, that the disease is spreading so fast. But despite the fact that the thing has not come here fully, but it's very good for Nigeria to be very cautious.
To us, it's a shock because I felt Nigeria has not gotten to that extent that such an important event ought not to be postponed.
Meanwhile, the Deputy Governor of Edo State and Chairman Local Organizing Committee of the festival, Philip Shaibu, briefing newsmen, says that the latest development has become necessary as a result of the shutdown of socio-economic activities in various countries due to the disease.
We have been on top of our game and our health workers have been trained and ready to deal with the issue during the games. We have decided to err on the side of caution and also show some sensitivity to the plight of other countries dealing with this challenge.
He says a new date will be communicated after consultation with relevant government agencies. In Benin, Adogbeji Ojegba, NTA News.
And away from the postponed sports festival, the Council of Traditional Rulers in Ekiti State has resolved to suspend the lingering leadership tussle among them in the best interest of the state. This decision was reached at a closed-door meeting attended by the Oni of Ife, Obadeye Ogunwusi, and the state governor, Dr. Kayode Fayemi, and some Ekiti monarchs at the government house in Ado Ekiti. Kola Adebobuyi reports.
Majority members of the Grade A traditional rulers in Ekiti State, otherwise known as Pelukpelu Obas, distanced themselves from attending government functions over the leadership tussle among the Council of Obas. This necessitated Governor Kayode Fayemi's issuance of letters to them to explain their decision, which continues to generate reactions from the public, even with legal battle. The Oni of Ife, Obadeye Ogunwusi, intervention, however, brought the agreed traditional rulers together with the governor to find lasting solution to the tussle.
Just a father and son engagement. So
after a closed-door meeting with the concerned parties, Oni of Ife, Obadeye, who led some of the traditional rulers in Ekiti State, told journalists in one voice that they have agreed to work together in the interest of the state.
we are all here, and there is no problem. So all is well to the glory of God. There is mutual respect between the people in governance and the people in government and the traditional rulers.
They also agreed to withdraw the suit in court earlier initiated on the matter in Ado-Ekiti. Kola Adebobwiji, NT News.
In Nationwide continues with Elizabeth in Abuja.
Thank you so much, Obey. Empowering persons living with disabilities play a crucial role in the development of the society. The Tomorrow's Vision for the Nation Foundation, a non-governmental organization, is rising to the challenge by encouraging persons living with disabilities to explore the food sector to enable them contribute to national development. Linda Okore-Igwe reports.
Disability can be anything, from poor eyesight to inability to work, to complex intellectual or mental health challenges. But any condition can be overcome when an individual or groups of individuals supports people living with disabilities. Thanks to Tomorrow's Vision for Nation Foundation, a non-governmental organization for giving the hype of support that Mohammed Dantali needs to live full and productive life through farming.
To show you how to catch a fish is better than giving you a fish all the time. So this NGO, that is TBN, they are here to give us a way to catch our own fish by giving us some seeds to plant. That is, let us go back to agriculture.
The founder of Tomorrow's Vision for Nation Foundation, Yetunde Oguyiga, says their mission is to assist persons with all types of disabilities to achieve their maximum level of sustainable independence through farming.
Our vision is to make sure that every household has a backyard farm whereby they can feed themselves and their family and even give to their neighbors.
Mohammed, who had been living in disability colony at Karimajiji Airport Road for 12 years, is happy and calling other charity organizations to follow suit. In Abuja, Linda Okore-Igwe, NTA News.
You're still watching Nationwide on NTA. Our next port of call is Enugu, where Mina is standing by for us.
Hello Elizabeth, good afternoon and welcome to Enugu. As part of activities for combating corruption and professional misconduct in government offices, a 4-year routine training has been recommended for public office holders in the country to acquaint them with the provisions of the law on the compulsory declaration of assets and code of conduct at the beginning and end of their tenure. Enugu State Governor gave the recommendation at a workshop in Enugu by the Code of Conduct Bureau for the state public officials. Susan Eze has details.
It is expected that Nigerians, particularly public servants, are conversant with the provisions of the statutory code of conduct so as to function in tune with acceptable high moral standards. However, with constant breach of the codes by office holders made manifest in the numerous corruption cases, professional misconducts, and failures in declaration of assets, routine trainings as recommended by Governor Ugwuanyi may just be the way to get public office holders to conform with the standards of public morality, transparency, and accountability.
I therefore recommend that the Bureau should regionalize this program at 4-yearly intervals to promote the compliance of public officers with the provision of all established laws on this subject matter at the beginning and end of their term.
Among the 14 codes of conduct for office holders in the 3 tiers of government, the Chairman Code of Conduct Bureau identified Assets Declaration as the most popular code. Assets Declaration, he said, does not only ensure transparency and accountability in governance, but also protects the interest of the public officer.
The more you declare your assets, the more you free yourself from unnecessary suspicion.
Public office holders in Enugu State were participants at the workshop. In Enugu, Susan Eze, NTA News.
In her Under continued efforts to rid the state of pipeline vandals, Abia State Command of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps has intercepted a truck loaded with 33,000 liters of petroleum products suspected to be crude oil along Enugu Port Harcourt Expressway. The State Commandant Nnamdi Nwanugu, who paraded the suspect, said the command is fully prepared to implement the Commandant General's 2020 Zero Tolerance Directive against all forms of pipeline vandalism. Ifeoma Ndukolye has details.
The truck was intercepted by men of the command's anti-vandals team following a tip-off from members of the public. Parading one of the suspects, Abia State Commandant of the Nigerian Security and Civil Defense Corps, Nnamdi Nwanugu, noted that the intercepted product has no well bill or meter ticket, while the truck has no haulage permit, which qualifies it to be used for such purpose.
We are not going to leave any stone untouched to make sure that criminality does not prevail in our society. One, we are what? Children to desist from any act that is unbecoming of a citizen.
The suspect, who gave his name as Ikechukwu Amuche from Ehime Mbano, confessed to the crime, saying that he regrets his action.
As a friend, he told me I should follow him to go and offload. I don't even know what he's carrying, but as they went up and collect the sample, so they arrest the truck.
The suspect, according to the commandant, will be charged to court upon conclusion of investigation for prosecution. In Umuahia, Ifeoma Ndukolye, NTN News.
And that's a bit from Enugu. It's back to you, Elizabeth, for a continuation of Nationwide.
Kumina. Now let's talk sports. Nigerian Women Football League gets kick-off date. Kene Imagbodike brings us details on sports updates.